You might feel fine today. You might even say, I still walk, I eat well, and I laugh with my grandkids. But what if I told you that many people who didn't make it to 85 once said the exact same thing? Hi, friend. This video is not here to scare you. But the truth is, most of the people who died too soon didn't fall because of some dramatic accident or major disease that hit overnight. Instead, they ignored small, quiet signs, things they thought were just part of getting older. And by the time they noticed something was wrong, it was already too late. A recent study from Harvard found that 5 early warning signs consistently show up in people who pass away before 85, and the most heartbreaking part is, all 5 are completely fixable if caught early. So if you've ever wondered, am I really on track for a long and healthy life? This video will help you find out. We'll walk through 5 subtle red flags that could be slowly draining your time without you realizing. And more importantly, I'll show you how to fix them with simple, realistic changes you can start today. You won't need fancy equipment. You won't need to change your whole life, but you will need to pay attention. One of these signs is so sneaky, most doctors don't even mention it until it's too late. So please, stay with me. And if any part of this feels familiar, don't panic. The goal is not perfection, it's direction. And the direction we choose today can still take us far beyond 85 with strength, clarity, and peace. Let's begin with the first warning sign, and chances are, it's been showing up in your daily routine more often than you think. 1, you're forgetting things more often and brushing it off as normal aging. You walk into a room but forget why. You can't recall the name of that actor you loved in your 20s. Or maybe you've started asking the same question more than once in a single afternoon. When that happens, it's easy to laugh it off and say, oh well, that's just getting older. But what if these little slips were actually quiet warning signs from your brain? The truth is, occasional forgetfulness happens to everyone. But frequent lapses in memory, especially with names, recent conversations, or where you place things, may point to the early stages of cognitive decline. And the earlier it begins, the more critical it becomes to intervene. Think of your brain like the wiring in an old house. At first, a flickering light may not seem like a big deal. But over time, faulty wires lead to more lights dimming, circuits shorting out, and eventually, the whole system failing. That's what untreated memory loss can look like. By the time a person notices serious gaps, the process may already be far along. A long-term study published in Neurology followed over 2,000 adults aged 65 and older. It found that individuals with mild cognitive impairment, especially those who ignored early signs, progressed to dementia at a much faster rate than those who took action early. Another study from the Alzheimer's Association emphasized that early intervention, including mental stimulation and lifestyle changes, could delay or even prevent progression in many cases. The good news, your brain has an incredible ability to adapt if you give it the right fuel and the right kind of exercise. Neuroscientists at the University of Texas at Dallas found that engaging in new learning tasks such as digital photography or quilting improved memory and increased brain activity in older adults after just 12 weeks. Learning activates the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, encouraging new neural connections even in old age. So here's what you can do. Start by learning one small new thing each day. It could be a new word, a new song, or even a quick fact about a place you've never visited. Write it down, speak it out loud, repeat it in a few hours. This reinforces memory circuits and builds cognitive resilience. Make space for deep conversations. Talking with others isn't just good for the soul. It forces your brain to focus, respond, and recall. Isolation is one of the fastest routes to mental decline. And finally, reduce what neuroscientists call cognitive idling, those long stretches of passive screen time. Replace it with mentally active choices like puzzles, reading, or even organizing your spice rack. Anything that requires your brain to make decisions. Your brain isn't fading because of age. It's fading because it's not being used with intention. And just like a muscle, the more you challenge it, the more alive it stays. Now that we've talked about memory, let's turn our attention to something even more alarming, weight loss that sneaks up without reason and what it might really mean. 2, you're losing weight without trying and think it's a good thing. You step on the scale and notice you've lost 5 pounds. You haven't changed your diet. You've been eating normally, and you feel mostly fine. At first, it might feel like a pleasant surprise, but after 60, unintentional weight loss can be one of the body's most serious warning signs, and it's one that far too many people ignore. See, your body is always talking to you. And when the number on the scale starts dropping without a clear reason, it often means something inside isn't working right. It could be a sign of undiagnosed cancer, heart failure, diabetes, thyroid problems, or even depression. But what's even more common and far more silent is muscle wasting. That slow and quiet erosion of your body's strength hides behind a shrinking waistline, fooling many into thinking they're getting healthier. Imagine a wooden chair that's been sitting outside for years. From a distance, it may look fine, but touch it and you'll feel it's lost its firmness. The joints are loose, the wood is hollowing out from within. That's what happens when the body starts losing muscle mass, even when your weight seems stable. You may still fit into your clothes, but you're losing the stuff that holds you up. Studies from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society show that adults over 65 who lose more than 5% of their body weight within 6 months without trying face up to triple the risk of death in the years that follow. And when that loss comes from lean tissue rather than fat, the risk is even higher. The good news is, this decline is not irreversible. A clinical trial from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who increased their daily protein intake and engaged in simple resistance training at home not only stopped this muscle loss, but in many cases, reversed it. So what can you do? Starting today, first, weigh yourself once a week, not every day. Day-to-day shifts can be misleading, but weekly patterns reveal the truth. If you see a loss of 2 or more pounds in a month without any change in diet or activity, speak to your doctor. Catching the pattern early can uncover hidden conditions before they become life-threatening. Next, focus on increasing your protein intake. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing and using protein, even though our need for it actually increases. That means eating the same amount as you did in your 40s might no longer be enough. Aim for about 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. If you weigh 150 pounds, that's around 80 grams of protein, which might look like 2 eggs for breakfast, a chicken breast at lunch, some yogurt or nuts for a snack, and fish or tofu for dinner. Protein provides the raw material your muscles need to repair and rebuild. Without it, you're trying to construct a house without bricks. Finally, add in gentle strength building movements. No need for fancy gym memberships. Simply standing up and sitting down from a chair 10 times in a row, lifting soup cans while watching TV, or doing calf raises at the kitchen counter can send a clear message to your muscles. You're still needed, and when your muscles know they're needed, they respond by growing stronger no matter your age. Remember, at this stage of life, unintentional weight loss is not a sign of success. It's often a sign of depletion, but with attention, nourishment, and gentle effort, you can rebuild what's quietly slipping away and give your body the foundation it needs for the years to come. Now that we've uncovered this hidden danger, let's talk about one that's even more silent, the slow fading of your strength. Not in weight, but in muscle itself. You're losing muscle strength, even if your weight is stable. Your pants still fit. The number on the scale hasn't changed. You feel like you've been eating just fine, But recently, lifting a full kettle feels heavier. The jar lid won't twist open like it used to. And maybe when you look at your arms in the mirror, they seem smaller, the skin a little looser, the muscle underneath not quite as firm. These aren't just feelings, they're signs. Your body is telling you something real and measurable. You're losing muscle. This process is called sarcopenia, a gradual loss of muscle mass and strength that begins quietly in your 50s and accelerates in your 60s and 70s. Most people don't notice it at first, but you can spot it if you look for it. Maybe your upper arms have shrunk by more than an inch over the past year. Maybe your calves feel softer, or your grip strength, once firm and steady, now feels weak when you shake someone's hand. These are not minor changes. They are silent markers of vulnerability. Think of your muscles as the foundation under a house. When they begin to erode, everything above them, your posture, your joints, even your heart and immune function becomes less stable. A study in the Lancet Public Health showed that seniors with weak grip strength had up to twice the risk of death within a decade, even if their body weight was normal. Another study published in Clinical Nutrition found that a thigh circumference under 21 inches in older adults was linked to significantly higher risk of disability and early death. But here's the encouraging truth. Your muscles respond even now when you call on them. A trial from Tufts University proved that older adults, even those in their 80s and 90s, could gain muscle mass and improve walking speed in just 12 weeks with simple resistance training. So how do you fight this silent loss? Start by observing. Measure your upper arm or thigh circumference and track changes every few months. If you notice a drop, it's a sign to act. Begin with functional strength movements that mimic what you do in daily life. Practice standing up from a chair without using your hands. Try rising on your toes and slowly lowering yourself. Carry something slightly heavy for short distances. These actions may seem small, but they send powerful messages to your muscles. Stay active, stay alive. Here's why it works. When you use a muscle against resistance, even your own body weight, you create microscopic stress in the muscle fibers. This triggers repair signals, telling your body to send protein and growth factors to strengthen that area. For older adults, frequent low-intensity resistance is often more effective than occasional intense workouts. But movement alone isn't enough. You need to fuel recovery. Protein gives your body the building blocks it needs to rebuild muscle tissue. Without enough, you're like a construction site with no bricks. Aim for protein in every meal. Even something as simple as Greek yogurt, eggs, beans, or a glass of milk after activity can help your muscles repair and grow. Losing muscle is not just about looking thinner. It's about losing your physical freedom, your balance, your safety, your ability to live without help. But with small, steady effort, you can reverse much of what time tries to take. And even if your muscles are still strong, there's another threat that strikes without warning from inside your arteries. Let's talk about blood pressure. 4. Your blood pressure spikes occasionally and you ignore it. You feel fine, maybe even great. No chest pain, no dizziness, just a little more tired than usual some afternoons. Or maybe a few mornings where your heart feels like it's beating harder than it should. You chalk it up to stress, the weather, a poor night's sleep, but there's one number you haven't checked in a while, and it might be silently working against you. It's your blood pressure. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer for a reason. It can rise and fall without symptoms. One week your numbers look normal. The next they quietly cross into dangerous territory, and you wouldn't even know unless you were looking. But here's where it gets serious. A study from the American Heart Association found that people over 60 who had even occasional spikes above 140 over 90, even just once or twice a week, had a significantly higher risk of stroke, heart failure, and kidney disease over time. And most of these people said they felt fine before their event happened. So how does it work? Think of your arteries like garden hoses. When the water pressure is too high for too long, the walls weaken, small cracks form, and eventually, something bursts. That's exactly what happens during a stroke. And before that day comes, your body gives you only the softest of warning, maybe some swelling in your ankles, trouble sleeping, or waking up with a slight pressure in your head. If you've ever taken your blood pressure at home and thought, it's a little high today, but I'll just check again tomorrow, that's exactly when it's time to act. Here's what you can do and why it works. Start by measuring your blood pressure consistently, not just once when you're calm, but at different times before breakfast, after walking, during stressful moments. Patterns matter more than one perfect reading. Tracking over time helps you spot fluctuations early, and it gives your doctor the full picture to make better decisions. Second, reduce sodium not just by tossing the salt shaker, but by checking food labels. Most of the sodium we consume comes from processed foods, not table salt, canned soups, breads, deli meats, and even salad dressings are often packed with hidden salt. Lowering your intake eases the strain on your arteries, like turning down the faucet before the hose gives out. And don't forget the power of walking. Just 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking a day has been shown in multiple studies, including one from hypertension research, to reduce both systolic and diastolic blood pressure, especially in people over 60. Movement encourages blood vessels to relax, improves circulation, and teaches your heart not to overreact. Finally, manage your breathing. Deep, slow breaths, especially in the evening, lower cortisol and reduce nervous system tension, both of which directly impact your blood pressure. A simple practice like inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6 can activate your body's natural calming systems. You may not feel your blood pressure rising, but you'll feel everything when it suddenly lets go. And by then, it might be too late. The time to catch it is now when the numbers whisper, not when the arteries scream. Still, there's one more system that gives off visible warnings, not from the heart or the muscles, but from the surface of your skin itself. And that's where we're headed next. 5, your skin is changing fast, and it's not just wrinkles. We all expect our skin to change as we age. A few more lines around the eyes, some sagging under the chin. But what happens when those changes go beyond wrinkles? Maybe you notice a bruise that takes weeks to fade, or a dark spot on your arm that seems to be spreading, or worse, a small sore on your leg that just won't heal. These aren't just cosmetic concerns. They can be early signs of something far deeper going wrong inside the body. Skin is the largest organ you have, and like the dashboard lights in a car, it often reveals the first signs of internal trouble. When blood circulation weakens, when your immune system slows, or when sugar levels rise, your skin is one of the first places to speak up, but only if you're paying attention. Imagine your skin like the paint on a house. If moisture gets trapped under the surface, if the foundation shifts, or if there's damage underneath, that paint begins to bubble, crack, or peel no matter how fresh it looked last year. In the same way, changes in your skin's texture, color, or healing speed often reflect something deeper going wrong within. Research published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology found that certain skin symptoms, including slow-healing wounds, discoloration on the lower legs, and increased dryness, were strongly associated with chronic conditions like diabetes, liver disease, and poor peripheral circulation. In fact, one study showed that up to 70% of people with undiagnosed type 2 diabetes had visible skin symptoms months before their blood test ever caught the problem. So what should you look for, and why does it matter? First, check your skin once a month. Head to toe, look for new growths, changes in moles, unusually dry patches, or sores that stay open longer than 2 weeks. These changes are visible, trackable clues that your body may be struggling to repair itself. Early detection can mean the difference between a small outpatient treatment and a life-threatening diagnosis. Second, nourish your skin from the inside out. That means staying hydrated because water helps maintain skin elasticity, blood flow, and healing response. Think of hydration as keeping the soil moist so the surface doesn't crack and peel. Dry skin isn't just uncomfortable, it's more likely to tear and less likely to heal. Next, support your circulation. Daily walking, stretching, and even gently elevating your legs in the evening can boost blood flow to your skin. Improved circulation delivers oxygen and nutrients needed for healing, while also flushing out toxins. Poor circulation, on the other hand, leads to cold limbs, pale skin, and fragile capillaries that bruise and bleed more easily. And don't forget about your nutrition. Vitamins A, C, E, and healthy fats like omega-3s help your skin stay strong and resilient. They act like the paint sealant that keeps the weather out, giving your skin the tools it needs to protect and repair itself. If your diet lacks fruits, vegetables, nuts, or fish, your skin is the first place that damage shows up. You don't need expensive creams. You need awareness and a bit of daily care. Because your skin is not just a reflection of age, it's a mirror of everything happening inside you. And now that you've seen these 5 signs, some on the surface, some buried deep, the real question is this: what will you do with this knowledge? Let's close this video with one important reminder and a reason to hope. You've just heard 5 warning signs, small changes that are easy to ignore, but powerful enough to shape the years ahead. Maybe you recognize one, maybe you saw yourself in all 5, and that might feel overwhelming. But I want you to hear this clearly. It is not too late. Your body is still listening. Your brain is still adapting. Your muscles are still responding. And your heart, that quiet, faithful engine, is still fighting for you. Long life doesn't happen by accident. It's built one small habit at a time. One glass of water, one short walk, one thoughtful meal, one deep breath, and most of all, one honest moment like this one when you decide to start paying attention again. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin today. If this video helped you feel more informed, more hopeful, or more ready to take back control of your health, consider subscribing to this channel. Every week, we share real wisdom to help you live longer, live stronger, and live well no matter your age. And if you know someone else who could use a gentle nudge or a quiet reminder, share this video with them. You might just change a life. Until next time, stay steady, stay curious, and stay kind to yourself.